everyone, today I wanted to film a little chatty flip through of this journal insert, which is very nice and chunky. I've now finished, and chat about my new journaling setup as well. So basically I got this kind of cheap tacky traveller's notebook from Amazon like last Prime Day, because it was like £6 or something, and it's not real leather or anything, but I just quite liked the design and I wanted to try out memory keeping with a traveller's notebook. And I only just got around to doing this at the end of last year because we were moving house, and so I had all my art supplies and journal stuff packed up except for this traveller's notebook, a wallet full of ephemera, and some very basic supplies, as well as like my travel watercolour set. So I kind of challenged myself to just work in this one journal, and this is the insert that came with the journal, so it's like just a cheap stapled together insert, but I thought I already have it, so I'm just going to use it. And actually the paper did hold up very well. I was very surprised, and I really liked working in this journal, but after a while the paper just got kind of annoying. So for my new setup I've actually made my own inserts, which I'll share with you later. But without further ado, let's have a little chatty flip through. Let me move all this out the way. Cool, so the size of this is 7.5 inches by 4 inches. It fits perfectly in my bag, so I love taking it on the go. I'm probably not going to talk about every single spread because this is kind of a diary, so the journaling is just like about what I'm thinking of, what's happened in the day. It's got a lot of personal photos as well, but yeah, I just wanted to share this with you. So this started off, I did it October 31st, Halloween, till 13th of January 2019, but I don't have anything from December in here because I actually used a separate journal for December. So one of the main goals or ideas I wanted with this journal was to use up a lot of ephemera that my friends have sent me, and it's very mixed media-y. The paper was this sort of creamy colour, so I've used a lot of watercolours to add more colour to it, which I won't be doing so much in my new journal. So the first page I've got a tip in here, and a lot of this Halloween stuff Vanessa sent me. And then this is from some Halloween chocolate that I bought myself, and then just starting off doing some journaling. And then in November I did start journaling about gratefulness or gratitude, sorry, and this was inspired by Courtney, Little Raven Ink, on her Patreon. I did quite a bit of journaling about this, and this sort of is what really got me into the writing side of things. So the ephemera used here, I've got these really cute vintage stamps that I got from the charity shop Oxfam, and then bits of paper. I think this was sent to me from Kaylee. And this is just after I moved house as well, so I had a lot of feelings that I wanted to write out about, and all of the pictures except right near the end are from my HP Sprocket because I hadn't had anything unpacked, and I just decided to use that. I quite liked the layout with the size of the page as well. Here we've got some pockets, and this was given to me from Becca at the Get Messy meetup. So Get Messy is an art journaling community I'm part of. And I think she also gave me this lovely vintage photo as well. A little note from V. And what I would do is spend some time doing the watercolour first, and then adding the ephemera, and then sort of embellishing on top, or adding ephemera and then watercolouring. So I didn't follow like a strict rule with how I decorated the pages, and I sort of went through various different colour schemes, and there's loads of like flaps and tip-ins and pockets in this journal, which is something I really enjoyed doing. Some of the pockets I just have nice cards that I've been sent that I didn't want to like cover up, so these were from B as well. She sends the best, happy now. And other times I had little pictures on them. So this was the first meal that I cooked in our new home. It was a delicious Georgian dish with aubergines in. I love aubergines. And yeah, also as well, what I liked about this journal is treating it kind of like how I treat my travel journals, so including a lot of everyday ephemera. So this is a postcard from Witch Casket, which is a lovely subscription box I get that has loads of cool witchy goodies in. And then on here I added in this bird and sort of a collage on this page. Excuse me. This is from a candle, and so this is sort of a scratch and sniff job. The journal page smells like the candle, which is nice. I discovered after doing this, if you put a heat gun over the following pages, it actually warps the HP Sprocket pages, and this made this go all green, but I actually really like that effect. It kind of looks like it was meant to happen. More flaps. This is one of my little bunnies asleep. A very cool card. So yeah, I found working in this journal just very cathartic, and you'll see here, so this has gone from November 27th to New Year's Eve, so I sort of skipped December, but I was journaling, but in another journal, a December specific one. This is all about New Year's Eve. I love the colour scheme-ish. It's kind of a colour scheme, isn't it? Purpley and magical. And I actually edited a lot of the photos in the Sprocket app to sort of tie in with that theme. And then we start off the new year. And to be honest, by this stage, so I sort of can see the quality of the binding is really going, and I did have a couple of pages just fall out because it's only got 2 staples in. So I was also getting a bit like hump life troubles because it was getting very humpy and hard to write on, and you can see obviously when it's shut it's like a wedge. So I was getting a bit bored of working this. I kind of wanted to move on, and also the paper, I was worried that stuff was going to start falling out because it is quite thin paper. I wouldn't really recommend using watercolours with this, and you can see as well, I don't know if you can see, but on some of the pages, like on here, it kind of grains a bit. I think that's the water maybe lifting up a bit of the paper. But anyway, what I decided to do was glue the pages together just with Pritt Stick, just to double the pages up, because a couple did fall out as well, and then it was a bit less daunting to sort of carry on working this book because I love working in it, but I just was getting a bit stressed out with how crap the paper was, basically. So yeah, that was one way that I kind of worked around that. But you'll see I sort of take things my own way in the end. I also like including pictures of journal spreads that I'm working on at that time. I think that's a nice way of memory keeping. Wrappers, so this was a new pen I got. And it's a good excuse to use up like all the washi tape, so then I can buy more. Oh, this page made me laugh. It's like journal inception because I have a picture of this page on this page. Oh, I find it funny. Little flap there. Oh, I got these amazing unicorn horn paintbrushes. And then tip-ins. I got these really cute vintage cards from not an auction, an antique shop when I was visiting my friends, so I actually scanned them in and printed them out on some nice paper to use in here. Little pocket here. And then we're sort of coming to the end because basically I went to my friend's house for a craft afternoon, but it was crafting evening, and I was planning on teaching them bookbinding, so I decided I wanted to buy myself some new inserts, and then I kind of just stopped wanting to work in this journal, so I basically just filled up the rest of the journal with orphan photos. And these are just photos I had taken that were just in my stash that I have had laying around for ages or didn't get around to using. So these are some flowers from like last year, the bunnies in our new home. This was from another journal and I think I just didn't use them, or sometimes the sprocket will double print and I have like duplicates and stuff. So yeah, I just stuck them in here. This veggie breakfast is probably the best veggie breakfast I've ever had. As a side note, it was at a hotel in Shrewsbury, and these mushrooms were like deep cooked in butter and they were so delicious. And this is an antler that I got at another antique shop in Shrewsbury. My orchids, and then just a random picture from San Diego that happened like 3 years ago. And we're done. So I kind of gave up towards the end, but I don't mind. I find sometimes with journals, when I reach that stage and it's not fun anymore, it's fine just to let it go. And then this I actually did as the first thing, just to test all my watercolours and pens and everything to make sure they didn't go through, and actually they do hold up pretty well. The ones that did go through were inks, watercolour inks, so they're the Mermaid markers by Jane Davenport, so I kind of expected them to go through anyway because it's very pigmented. Yeah, that is my insert from the end of October to mid-January, kind of skipping December. But for my new one, I still wanted to work in this TN because I love the size, and even though it's, you know, it's not real leather, which is fine, but it feels very nice, even though her proportions are a bit crazy. She's gonna topple over with a waist that thin. I wanted to carry on working this, but I also didn't want the insert to get really wedgy, so I actually made 3 quite small inserts that I'm then gonna bind into like a larger book and sort of archive. Oh, sorry, I'm shaking the camera. And I wanted to try like a junk journal style, so I really would love to have a massive junk journal where I just have the whole year's memories and journaling in it, but I just know I'll get bored of that, or I want to try a different style. So I thought doing kind of working in inserts and then binding them all up, maybe into a giant book at the end of the year, or until I stop journaling in this way, would be quite cool. So what I've done is I've made 3 inserts that are all kind of along the same scheme. And then this one's just out at the moment because I was working it earlier, but I'll do like a quick flip through of them. Before that, I just wanted to also mention with like sort of how I use everyday stuff. This insert came with these little plastic wallets, so what I've been doing is if I've got stuff from my everyday life that I want to use in the journal, I just stick them in here. So like for example this train ticket, and a nice pink chocolate bar, and some wine, a wine label because it kind of went with the colour scheme, but this has a little zip, so this is quite cool. And again, this is why I like using this insert, because this is really good for when you're traveling, when you're on the go, just collecting bits of your everyday life. So this is like, yeah, like travel journaling but every day, which I've really been enjoying. And then I used all the same papers. So these papers are actually from the Prima collection, Frank Garcia's Moonchild, and they're so beautiful. I really just love the colours, the designs, very cool. And then I also included like old book pages, line paper, Tomo River paper. So I've actually already started journaling in this, but I'll show you. I've got, so on the first page I thought it'd be cool to do this currently list. This is from a Project Life card set. I'm not sure what they're called, but I never use them. I've got like a big tub full of them, so using them in here is very helpful, and this just sort of kind of logs where I'm at as well. It's sort of like an opening stats page. And then the first page, so you see there's a lot less writing, and because I've used pattern paper, some pages can be harder to write on, but that's okay for me for this style, because I want it to be kind of part travel journal but for every day, part journaling, part kind of commonplace book. So I just really liked this postcard. This was from an Edward Burne-Jones exhibition I went to a couple of weeks ago. So I just stuck it in, and with this cute piece of ephemera on the paper, done. So what I really liked about my old journal was it kind of combines writing journaling, art journaling with like the watercolour backgrounds, and then just kind of, I don't know, scrapbooking or cutting and sticking things down. And I wanted to do that more for this, but less with perhaps the time spent doing the watercolours, because I want to be doing that more in my art journal or my bullet journal, which is, there are two different videos that will be filmed at some point. Maybe, probably, yes they will. So this I want more to be about the kind of documenting and maybe less about the art. However, I've left it open that if I want to do some watercolouring, I can. Basically, the fewer the rules, the more I will enjoy it. But I really love how I've set this up. Does that open up? No. And then again, I'm going to be using the Sprocket pictures, and I like this style where everything is different sizes and you've got all the different flaps and tip-ins and everything. You can see I'm like already nearly halfway through this insert, so they're not very thick inserts at all, which I did on purpose because I thought if I'm going to be putting in loads of collage and tip-ins and flaps and pockets, then this will fill up pretty quickly. But I've also got the other two, and these are, yeah, they're pretty much the same story in terms of what's in them, so they all sort of go together. I love this. This is Prima as well. I think this is lavender, some sort of lavender collection. Some vintage paper that Julie gave me, who I think got that from Kaylee originally. I'm not too sure. We're all giving each other paper. I love it. And then I've used like my absolute favourite papers here. This is where it goes into the insert. And then I think this will make a lovely book, but then all of this is pretty girly and feminine and floral. And then I think that's just like this time of year. I feel like I'm very into that. But when spring happens, if it ever happens, I mean it's midwinter now, so I'm being a bit eager. But then with that I might want to use more of a green palette, or maybe like do some eco printing or something. And I wouldn't enjoy working in this, you know, this style. But then, yeah, that, I guess what I'm saying is I like the flexibility and the freedom that this brings. This doesn't really go with the style, but I just love this paper. And this way of doing it like a kind of junk journal is a really good way of using up scraps. So, hope that was interesting. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was how I store my ephemera. So I literally just have this plastic wallet, and I spent some time the other evening just going through my stash and putting things that kind of match together. There's lots of like birds and flowers and cute things in here, as well as like journaling cards that I've got from various different collections. And so then when I want to sit down and journal, I've got everything in one place. I can just get cracking with these little ephemera die cuts, I think that's what they're called. These were pre-cut, and this is from Kaisercraft, the anthology collection, I think. And what I did was I just put on some double-sided tape, so they're literally ready to go, so I can do this on the move as well. Oh, this is from Johanna's Etsy store. I bought some of her printables of her beautiful vintage linens. Yeah, so if I'm going away like for the weekend or a day trip or anything like that, what I can do is I can take some of these out, put them in that plastic wallet as well, and there you go, you've got a little journaling kit. Cool, so that was everything. Thank you very much for joining me and watching. Any questions, pop them in the comments below. Come and find me on Instagram and say hello if you like using Instagram. I have a very long handle. It's called Fern and Oak Art, with a dot, a period between each word. But I'll also put a link down below. Okay, well, thank you everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye!